Hello, everybody. Welcome to another lesson. My name is RODGON. I'm a professional artist. I'm an illustrator. I'm a cartoonist. I'm an illustrator. In general, I'm here to teach you guys stuff. Hi. How are you guys doing today? Happy New Year! Happy New Year. So I listen to you. Happy New Year's. Let's make one great this too. Yay. Good morning. So, how are you guys doing today? It is the last day of the year. The last day of the year. What a best time to sit down and draw and learn something, right? Start the year off with a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of know-how in something a little fresh in our brain so that we can go in and create new things with a new mindset and everything. My name is Rodrigo Gonzalez, coming to you from Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. And I am your teaching instructor today. Good morning. I just got up and having an day-old pizza. Yes. I have a whole Domino's pizza in the fridge right now. I ordered 2 yesterday, and I ate an entire pizza yesterday by myself. That was probably a bad idea. But you only live once. No, you live multiple times. You live every day, but you only die once, right? So if I'm going to die, I'm going to have to choose the way I want to die. Have a whole cake in the fridge. Yes. Oh, it takes everything not to eat it. Oh, man, if everything is telling you to eat it, I think everything is like the majority, right? So I think that you have to go in and eat it. Because simply put, you just stated logically, the majority of things want you to eat it. All right, so what are we learning today, guys? Yesterday, we spent drawing dragons, and we spent drawing chibi bodies, and then we drew... Oh, wait, no, that's not even yesterday. Yesterday, we drew a mustache, and we tried silhouetting and random shaping, and we talked about legs and the hip bone and mobility, and we talked about what you love to do with your career as opposed to what you love to do for money, and how they don't normally mix together unless you make that happen yourself. And then we talked about eyes, we talked about hair, we talked about perspective, we talked about the shoulders, we talked about how to make buildings, why you should not use vanishing points for your heads, and you should use isometric perspective instead, and why and how cool it is to know how to draw hands the way I do it, because it makes you learn how to draw animal paws. And the bodies, it teaches you how to draw animal bodies. And all the ways that you can have versatility with the way that I teach. So that was awesome. Yay, good stream. And then in the morning, we also talked about hip bones, and we talked more about posing, and we talked about a lot of things. Okay, so new page, new lesson. What should we draw today? Cinnamon Boys Leader Official. Well, hello, Cinnamon Boys Leader Official. It seems like you are quite official. Okay, so we mostly focus on anatomy because that is normally the thing that most people struggle with. So, for example, you were talking about the eyes, right? Let's just start with a little lesson that everybody can do. The eyes. What are eyes? Eyes are spheres, right? Eyes are just little eyeballs, are spheres. The actual, muscle that's inside our eye socket is a sphere. My eye! No! Okay? Your eyes tend to sit inside of that eye socket. And they rest right in it. Okay? So your eyeball is a sphere that is inside your eye socket. Once we understand that, then we can play around a little bit with this, right? So now that we know it's a sphere, how do we draw a sphere? Well, we go from a circle, this is the steps, circle, into drawing a circle. Inside of the circle gives us the colored part of the eye. Drawing another circle inside of the circle, inside of that circle, gives us the little black part. And that's 3 circles. 4 circles gives us a highlight. 5 circles gives us eyelids. And then 5 circles and an overlap give you a perfect eyeball. Once you understand that 5 circles and an overlapping line provide you a really cool eye, let's test that theory. Let's just test it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, overlap. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, overlap. That's kind of cool. So 5 circles and an overlapping line give you eyelids. Now let's explain this in a different way for people that are a little bit less mathematically inclined. Some people that are more visual represent this a little bit different. So I'm going to explain it in a different way. Pew, 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 pew. The eye is a circle. But we need to make that into a sphere to make it into this shape. So what we're going to use another circle, which is, we're going to draw a circle to give us a guideline. Now we have a roundy guideline that goes down the front and down the back. Instead of drawing my eye in the front like I have been, now I get to draw my circles on a guideline. That guideline can help me draw my eyes up, draw my eyes down, draw my eyes to the sides. That guideline is the next progressive step from this. Learning how to draw your eye in different directions comes from understanding that. Because it's just the same, circles and an overlap. Oh wait, no, that's 5 circles. And this is the overlap, okay? In just different directions. So learning how to move that in space by just moving around your circles that you draw and creating that overlap can give you the ability to draw your eyes in different directions. Cool. Now let's explain it another way so you guys can see it even easier. Now that we understand those 2 concepts, we're going to simplify this into a very simple 2 lines. We're going to draw a curvy line for the top and an intersecting line for the bottom. We're going to draw our style and our highlight. Curvy line, that's a little thicker. Intersecting line, draw your style. You still have the whole eyeball if you want to, because all you got to do is really draw a circle around your eye so that you can draw your eyelids, your bottom eyelids. You can start adding detail like eyebrows, and generally have cooler eyes. Now, that is the 2-line approach. Literally, 1 thick line, 1 thin line. And knowing that there's 5 circles inside, you can do that. Or not even 5 circles, there's 4 circles. Or even not even that, it's 3 levels of detail. 1, 2, 3. It's just 3 circles inside. So curvy line, curvy line. 1, 2, 3. And your overlap. Just different ways to get to the same exact thing. So, in profile eyes, let me explain profile eyes. This is going to make a nice little eye video for you guys. So, front eyes, front-looking eyes, our eyeball is like this. Three-quarter looking eyes, our eyeball is like this. Profile eyes, our eyeball is like this. What changes between all three of them? Well, your eye is just hemispheres that go from one side of your eye to the other. Kind of like a globe. You go from one side to the other. And it's just hemispheres around your eyeball. They go all the way around. Okay? Now, your eye, those two curvy lines that you do are just, you're just choosing two of these and darkening one and then using the other. You're darkening one up, overlapping it, and then creating a thinner one at the bottom. You're overlapping this one that goes from one side to the other. It has to go around, okay? Around, even if not profile. If you don't draw them going around, they're gonna look like shit. And then go and draw the bottom. Depending on how wide you want your eye open, you can change that hemisphere. You can have these shut, you can have these halfway open, halfway closed. It really is going to depend on what you want to do with them. This is essentially the whole idea behind eyeballs. It's knowing how to rotate that thing inside and using your eyelids to create depth. I'll talk about lashes after. So, since you can just choose two of them, you can just rotate that eye like we did in the previous exercises. Draw your 5 circles, and then choose what direction to draw your eye. How do you draw two people hugging? We're not talking about bodies right now. If you're going to ask questions, please ask questions relevant to the thing that we are teaching at the moment. Because I have a very bad ADHD. So if I don't stay on topic, I have noticed that I deviate way too much. And then we end up with a video that is really kind of like, it's nice to see, but it's not really going to be all that good for people that see it online. They're just going to think it's random stuff. So I want to start being a little bit more selective about the questions that I take, mostly just to be able to enhance the level of the videos. So if you guys can make me really, really, really happy and just ask questions relevant to what we are talking, that would be amazing. And if people ask things outside of that, please just remind them what we're talking about so they can have a relevant topic to be able to ask about. So don't be mean, don't be rude, but direct people in the right place. Sorry about that. Very burpy this morning. I think it's because I ate an entire pizza. Okay. Is it a little different for animals? Well, the animals, kinda and not. Animals in general, let's say, what do we want to draw? Let's draw like, what's an animal with a weird eye? Like a reptile, okay? The way reptiles work, they have their eyelids a little bit different. Like, I'm going to draw 2 different types of reptiles. I'm going to draw a chameleon, and I'm going to draw just a normal, like, I don't know, like a lizard. Chameleons have a very interesting eye. Their eye has ripples because they have to have hypermobility in their eyeball. That is one of the only animals that is going to have something that's completely different. Most other reptiles have just a slit. and they have really big colored parts. But it's the same concept. It sits, this is their eye socket, by the way. That's what I was trying to convey. And when you would be drawing something like that, let's say on a snake or something like that, it would end up kind of like this. Curvy line, little bit thinner line that intersects. I would create a little bit bigger shadows underneath for the eye socket. And I would probably make a little bit of an indication of the upper eye socket as well. Then I would add my detail. And that would be how I would create the head of a snake, the eye of a snake, or something like that. You could also go with a more just black approach. A lot of animals have that approach as well, and it's perfectly fine. I just like giving my animal soul. So your animals are going to have different, but you got to use reference. Honestly, for animals, you're just going to have to use reference because some animals have really interesting traits. Like some of them, like elephants, have massive eyelashes, right? They have massive eyelashes and they're meant to protect their eyes from, like things like dust and the sun. But you also have things like geckos that have ridiculously large eyes that stick out of their heads, So it's a matter of understanding and looking up references so that you can do these a little bit more accurately. And also there's like a really weird one. Like if you guys can guess which animal has this eye, I'll give you guys the chance to ask the next question. Which animal has eyes like this? Nope. A goat. There you go. You got it. A goat. Who got it first? The lady with a kitty. Oh, that's actually Baymax too. That kind of looks like Baymax. Ba la 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 la. A goat? Yes. That was the person. Whoever's I don't know what name that is, but you can ask the next question that we go into about eyes. I guess it could be a horse too, but it's I don't know if that's a horse. I think horses have like galaxies. Anyways. Oh, Naruto too. Sage mode. Oh, let's draw some cool the style that you choose inside while I wait for the question from the lady that had the kitty. When you're deciding what type of eyes you draw inside, you can draw anything you want once you have this knowledge. Okay? You can go into your really cool anime stuff if you really, really want that. Or you can do any sort of styling with this. You can approach this from anywhere from like little cutesy manga styles to drawing a little bit more serious stuff by adding a little bit more detail, right? Or you can straight up just use one curvy line and a dot and use like the old school cartoons like newspaper stuff, webcomic stuff. The concept is going to be the same. You can call me Batty. Yay, hey Batty. I'd love to see a cat eyes. Oh, cat eyes. Well, cat eyes tend to be a little bit angled. So instead of drawing your eyes like a normal human would be like this, you're going to angle them a little bit and take these 2 points and rotate them. So you're going to make this one here and this one here. You're going to have the same curvature and the same overlap. but you're going to maintain that middle of the eye the same way. You keep that the same direction, and it gives you that very cool, like cat eye thing. See what I mean? So yeah, felines are all the same. Felines are mostly the same. So that is how you would do that for a cat. Lesbian, then it didn't count if you didn't ask the questions. What? No. So I saw who answered the question first, so I just gave them access to the question. So that's the reason why. I like that, though. I think I might ask more questions along the way. I think I actually really enjoy that. It's like a little trivia. You have a question. All right. I'm Chaotsu. What is your question? Mods, please pay attention and just pin it so I don't miss it. And meanwhile, I'm going to show you guys how to draw different like eyes based on this theory. Right? So if you rotate them up, you get this. If you rotate them down, you get this. If you, I don't know, do weird shapes, well, now you have a really cool eye. It doesn't matter what you learn, as long as you start learning that overlapping shapes are gonna create your eye, you're gonna be able to play around with any sort of like curvature and make an eyeball out of that. It's gonna be really fun. And then later on, once you learn this rule, you're gonna be able to break it and not even make curvy lines anymore. You'll be able to do eyes out of anything. You wanna make them out of boxes? Cool. Make them out of boxes. You want to make them out of triangles? Cool. Make a triangle. You know, do whatever your brain tells you is going to be appealing. This is how you develop knowledge to be able to build your style. If you want to build a style, it comes with understanding. If you don't understand something, you can't stylize it. You can't put your own spin on something you don't know. So it's really important for that. What is the trick? No, Mr. Gill, I'm not taking knives. What is the trick you use with eyes to draw the rest of the anatomy? Kind of fuzzy in my memory. So let me show you guys how the eyes would structure inside of the head. Okay? And I'm going to show you guys what happens when you make them bigger, smaller, and how to position them right. So let's take an average head. We're not going to do anything exaggerated. We're just going to do a normal little human head. We're going to draw a little triangle in the middle. And we're going to divide this into 3. 1, 2, 3. This middle section is going to, oh, I drew that middle section a little too big. It has to be about the same for all 3 of them. So disregard this line. It's this one and this one. Okay. The base of your triangle is going to be at the base of the second section. So you don't even need to worry about finding that right away. It's going to be right there. If you want to find out where the third section would be, at the top of this little triangle, double it. And that's going to be where your top line is going to be. That's how you would divide your face into 3, and you'll see why. This triangle is going to give you a guideline going this way that you already drew, because you duplicated it, going up. This line takes you to your eyebrows, and if you match it to the edge, it gives you your cheekbones. Do the same thing over here. Now you have eye sockets. At the bottom of this, to the top of your shape, you're going to draw another circle to come up with the side of your head. You can do this on both sides to draw through your shape. Now you have the top of your head. This triangle also has lines that can go down. And now you have your teeth line. When you combine this all together, what does it resemble? It resembles a human skull. This method of mapping out your faces is very fun because you can do it in any direction really, really quickly. You can change the dimensions of your head, and it changes the dimensions of your character. Being able to move things in space, like rotating your head up, becomes relatively easier. And finding your jaw is a matter of just connecting where your ear would go to the other side where you already drew it, where your ear would go. So drawing your necks becomes really easy. So in this structure of the face, which I call the RODGON method, I am coining it because I developed it. At the top of this triangle, this little intersection where we did two triangles to find where the eyebrow line would be, that little intersection, that's where your eyes go. That's where your eyes sit. Beep. Your eyes can be as big as you want as long as they stay in the eye socket, or as little as you want them within that eye socket. That eye socket is just there to give you the spacing that you require to be able to draw your things in the right place. The upper line right here is your eyebrow line. This is your cheeks. This is your teeth. So you draw your mouth around your teeth. And that triangle becomes your nose. So when you put that all together, it goes something like this. So you can come up with faces really, really quickly. And combining that with the other elements that we talked about, like the eyes and stuff like that, with the overlapping shapes, you come up with really cool, even if you just did a simple circle. Like, you can do heads with any shape because you're giving yourself the guidelines from your shapes. So that's my teeth. That means that my mouth is going to be huge, right? I don't like leaving anything to guessing. Okay? I don't like leaving any part of my drawing up to guessing where it's supposed to go. And I think that's why the way that I teach tends to be a little bit better than some others for beginners, at least. Because when you start drawing, you're going to know what the next thing is. This is the nose, so this will give us our nose. The top of this is a line where our eyes are going to go. The eyes are hemispheres. They have hemispheres, so the hemispheres are going to be my eyelids. The triangle is going to give me the guideline for my eyebrow, and it's going to give me the guideline for my cheekbone. Those come from that initial triangle. It's also going to give me my teeth line. So that little triangle is super important. That's why I start with it first. This is my teeth line. And I just have to draw my elements around the features that I chose. Insomniac, I think he's talking about the eye shape that shows you the clavicle and the collarbone. Well, I haven't talked about how that connects because we are not talking about the connection of the head with the body. We're just not talking about that today. But if you guys want to know really quickly how you connect it, you go with your head, you find your ears, you find your collarbone at the top of your rib cage, and then you connect your ear to the front of your collarbone. And then that circle that you drew at the top of your rib cage is literally the connecting point to the back of your head. So that is how you would go and approach connecting this to the head. Find your collarbone, which is that little bone at the top of your body. The ends of it connect to where your arms go. The front of it connects to where your ears go, and it gives you a little circle at the top of the rib cage that allows you to have a little cylinder to go up for your neck. So this is the shape that you're looking for your bodies. Okay? This is what you should aim for. A little circle at the top of an egg with a cylinder on top. So an egg, circle, cylinder. Jaw, ears. Little tip from the top and the bottom, you draw little triangles to where your arms are going to go. Da-da-da-da-da. Learning how that moves. I have videos on that, so you guys can go check them out if you guys want. And for women, it's the same thing for women. Men and women are not, like, their skeletons are not any different. Just have breast tissues. And another one has pectoral tissues, like more like muscly. It's not any different. It's just the men and women comes down to the hip bones. Thin hip bones means mostly man. Wider hip bones means curvy. And that's the only difference. This couple inches of width in the hip bones is the only difference between a male torso and a woman torso. So I have videos on that too, but we're not going to get deviated from that. How do you draw eyebrows, or at least where do I... Oh, okay, so eyebrows. Now that we talked about this little method, right, that you guys can use, the little triangle method, let's explain that and show you guys the next level of that to play with your eyebrows. What you're drawing here is guidelines for a couple things. Okay? That triangle is going to give you lines going up, lines going to the side, and lines going down. Underneath that little line where the eye is going to go, underneath that is your cheekbone. Underneath, this is your cheek. Above that, it's your eyebrow. So anything above this line can be moved and changed. You can move this line to be really high up if you need it to be a really high eyebrow, or you can bring it down to make it more like an angry eyebrow. That line can now move, but only up until where your eye meets it. Why? Because this transitions from your eye socket. What you're essentially drawing is this. You are trying to cheat the whole concept of an eye socket in a skull. Okay? That is essentially what we're doing with this. We're trying to replicate the notion that we get from actually drawing a human skeleton. This is what we're doing when we're doing this. That initial triangle is a combination of both this and your cheek muscles. That is the combination of this shape right here. At the top, at first, it's to indicate where the eyeball is going to go. So you draw your eye socket, but then your eyebrow muscles cover your eye socket a little bit. So you need to keep in mind that that guideline can be used for your eyebrow only if you know that it's flexible beyond this point, because that's the point where your eyebrow would start. Underneath, it's your cheek, it's your muscle, it's your bone. It's something that's not flexible, really. Over it, this has a lot of flexibility because of your eyebrow. So that is something that you need to understand if you want to learn how to use this method to draw different facial expressions. Or just different styles in general. You know, from like super iconic, cartoony, whatever, comic bookish, anything. So that is how and why, how you would start playing around with facial expressions, and this is how it would look. Let's make a person that's sad. So you would start with your shapes, right? Find your eyeball, and then beyond that point, I'm going to bring them in. Let's make a person that's happy. I'm going to start with my shape, my triangle. This time the eyebrows, I want them to be even higher, so I'm going to bring that shape even higher. But bringing that shape higher does not mean it changes my eye socket. Does that make any sense? Because maybe making my eyebrows up is a style choice. I still have to have my head where it's supposed to go. The top of my head does not shift because I decided to go beyond my eye sockets. That becomes a style choice. This is you breaking the anatomy in a stylized way, but you still have all those guidelines to tell you where the rest of your features are going to go. Okay? So that is essentially what you need to keep in mind. If you're going to choose to break out of the guidelines, do it in a controlled way and don't shift all your other anatomy to make it fit. Let's say a mouth. If you want to make a big mouth, remember, this is your teeth line. If you want to make a mouth like a Joker, don't shift your teeth. Don't make your teeth bigger. Just make your mouth bigger. And now you have that. Now you have the look you wanted. So you need to learn how things work before you can shift them and stylize them and control them. You need to understand how things work, where things get positioned, where things go, before you can start playing around with stylization and lots of detail and muscles and wrinkles and shit that you don't know where they go. You learn and then you do it. You learn and then you modify. This is why being an artist is hard. It's not easy. It's not easy to pick up all this shit first and then want to go and do your artwork. It's not. A lot of the times, this becomes overwhelming for people. And when people get overwhelmed, they just want to draw something pretty. And when we just do that, well, we kind of like fall back onto just not using what we learned because it's hard, right? And let me tell you something though, artwork is hard. Art, like being an artist is hard. Being an artist is a hard job. It might not be physically taxing, well, some of it is, but not as taxing as some other jobs. But the whole idea of being creative as a job is incredibly taxing. So if you think that it's just going to come to you, it's not. It's not just going to come to you. It's not going to just be magically there. And if you don't put effort towards it, you're not going to get there because it's hard. So the reason that I do all these lives and stuff like that is to facilitate that transition for you guys. So you guys don't have to wait 15 years to do this. You know? Proportions for kids. Ooh, let's talk about proportions in eyes. Yeah. Okay. So now that we understand the very basic concept of the eyeball, right? The eye is a sphere that's inside of an eye socket inside of your skull. Right? So once we understand that, that's step one. Step two is understanding how the basic construction is. And that basic construction consists of 5 circles and an overlapping line. Circle 1, circle 2, circle 3, circle 4, and you can skip this one. This one's optional. You don't even need a highlight. Circle 5 would be the oval that makes your eyelid and then overlapping a line. So let's do an example for those that just joined us. 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles, 4 circles, oval, overlapping line. 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, 4 circle, oval, overlapping line. Five circles and an overlapping line get you the depth that you need and the detail in any eye. Now, building the eye round comes in the form of drawing a circle. In a circle, again, you draw a circle inside, but you only use it as a guideline. And then you start applying those other circles on top of that guideline. And now you can rotate this in space. The moment that you start adding that last oval, that's when you start getting your eyes in different angles. So that is the concept behind pretty much all the eyes that we drew today. Dark line, little overlapping line. Dark line, little curvy line on the bottom. Dark line, curvier line on the bottom. Sometimes you can simplify it to the point where you don't even need the bottom line. But if you wanted to add it in there, it would look good, because now you understand it. Then we talked about a little bit about how the eyelid works. The eyelid in general opens up from, it's like a globe. Okay? Your eye is this little general shape. You get to choose which one of these lines becomes your eyelids. Once you understand the concept of the 4 circles or 5 circles or 4 circles of detail, then you're good. Then once you understand this, you can take that and just go into split it in half. If you have a problem with profile eyes, just take a normal eye that you drew like that and split it in half. And it's going to give you the most generalized way to draw your profile eye. Overlapping line, curvy line, intersected. Like, that's the easiest way that you can do it. And that's with a lot of things, by the way. Let's see, with mouths, it's the same thing, right? Like, a mouth is a nice curvy upper line and an intersecting bottom line, negative space. When you want to draw, let me show you guys. When you draw half of it and you only want to do a profile, all you do is that. And now you have a profile face. No. So, when you're trying to draw mouths and you don't know how to draw them in profile, just draw how you would want it as a whole and then split it in half and see how that would look. All right, so then we started doing some stylization in the eyes so you guys could see that you can apply this to pretty much any sort of styling that you might want. Let me draw some more different ones so you guys can see how cool this is. Let's draw some cracked out dude. The amount of detail that you can add in there is going to be only limited by the amount of reference and cool shit that you have observed and try to draw yourself. That is the only thing that's going to stop you from being able to draw a bunch of different eyes. The whole idea of going out, reading comics, watching movies, watching animations, watching and reading everything that comes out into the world is going to make you a masterful person in the ways of knowing different styles. This is how you learn how to manipulate multiple styles instead of just thinking that you have to stick to one. This is just most styles of eyes, from animals to even anime and stuff like that, is the same concept. It's a dark line, an intersecting line, and then you stylize your eye any way you want, right? That is essentially the whole concept behind eyes in general. And if you guys start observing that, how did they overlap that top line? How do they overlap that bottom line? What extra detail comes on top of that they did? You'll start observing how people just add like really cool designs to their top line. Their bottom line ends up a little bit detailed too because they learn how to do these things quicker. And this is essentially the process in which you do things like this. You think of your upper line as much thicker, and stylized. You think of your lower line as much cooler and stylized, and then you stylize the inside as well to whatever you require. That is essentially the whole idea behind stylization. And the more anatomy you learn, the more you can add to these things. Okay? The more anatomy and shading and stuff you learn, but you don't have to relearn it. You don't have to change the way you learn again. You have already mastered the shape of the eye, which is just a sphere, and then you can just play with it. At that point, now it's just fun. Now you get to have fun instead of being all stressed out and stuff. So now let's draw a couple eyes on heads so you guys see how this works, because we still need to talk about the eyelashes, and we need to talk a little bit about how the eye covers with with the nose, like 3/4 faces and stuff like that. So let's go on to that aspect of it. How do we draw faces in front view, 3/4, and profile? Okay. 3/4, and profile. If you guys don't know, the midline for your shapes ends up being like this. That is going to play a role. Just pay attention to that. When you want to find a 3/4 port of an eye, you draw it about 3/4 of the way up, and that's the peak of the eye. The peak of your eye is going to be at a 3/4 view. When you have your eyes forward, the peak of your eye is in the middle. When you draw something in profile, the peak of your eye is on the side. And you don't see the whole eye. You only see about half of it. So keep that in mind as we progress into the detail of the face. Okay? So as a front view, your eyeballs are going to be, if you make them small, you make them small. If you make them big, they're going to be like that, right? You're going to have your eyelid and you're going to have your detail inside, regardless of whatever type of eye you choose. Big cartoony eyes, like that, whatever. We're going to keep the same eye consistency for the other ones because these need to be shown in that way. So we're going to go with just the same eye for both of these. We're going to draw the entire eye, but you're going to see how when we start drawing our triangle shapes into our guidelines for those triangles, you're going to start seeing a little bit of coverage, right? They're going to start overlapping a little bit. When you start seeing that little overlap, don't be scared of it. Just make sure that the eye is behind that little overlap because this is your nose bridge. This essentially becomes your nose and your nose bridge. Your eyeball is behind it. So even though you can't see all of it, it's good to draw the whole thing because you need to be able to get those guidelines to be able to draw your eyelids properly. So sometimes you don't see the nose. Sometimes they don't get covered, but a lot of the times when you're looking at something 3/4, the nose is going to get in the way. So learning how that works can help you understand how to draw your eyes a little bit better. When you're looking into a profile, that triangle becomes a triangle still, so you can get your guidelines. What's half of a triangle? It's still a triangle. So, boo-boo. Profiles, you need space for your brain. So that circle that we drew on the side, just match it to the cheekbone and then match it to the top of your shape. And that'll give you the roundness that you need. This is actually not really well proportioned to reality. Most of the time, your features will fall within the first fourth of your face. And this would reach like that. This is more accurate to proportions for a human head. About 1/4 of the way up your head, of your face, that's where you're going to draw your features. Your eye, again, you only see about half of it. A lot of the times people represent that by drawing just a little V with a little line or a curve. The way that I like to do it, I always like to draw my shape going like this. So I like drawing around my shape, even if it's very slightly, just to give myself that indication of curvature for my shape. I know it might be insignificant and it might look the same to you guys, but to me, it makes a world of difference knowing that I can just open that up or close that up to get different eye shapes. To me, it makes a big difference just knowing how it wraps around. So my suggestion to you is that you see your eyeballs as going around like this and then close it in with whatever eyeball you have inside. So you can get used to drawing this general shape. Again, angled eyes, if you need to angle it, you just take that point and you move it up. And now you have angled eyes as a profile. So just rotating a shape can get you there, and we practice that countless times over here, right? We practice that a lot already. So that should not be really hard. Happy New Year's! Hey, Happy New Year's! Let's see. What else? What else is needed? Eyelashes? Okay, eyelashes. So the reason that we darken that upper line in the initial stages is to represent a very light indicator of eyelashes already. The reason that we make it darker is to give an iconic representation of eyelashes. But eyelashes have this really interesting feel. If you see your eye as an eyeball, right, and this has hemispheres and like guidelines, right, you can draw midlines and just draw circles inside of it. If you see these lines, if you just curve them up, once they hit the lip, they become your eyelashes. So around and up, around and up, around and up, around and up, around and up. And you'll see that right here, they're creating a little bit of coverage over the eye, right? They're not quite covering it because they are little strings. So you see a little bit of the detail underneath, but it gives you depth. A lot of people represent that iconically. They do that with line widths. Okay? A lot of people like to do that. They represent this coverage right here by covering part of the eye. The thing is, you have to realize that some of it is anatomy, like your eyelashes are anatomy, and then you have stylization of the eye with like cat eyes and stuff like that get added after. That gets added with makeup after. So you got to learn to realize that part of it is your anatomy and part of it is makeup. And I learned that from watching my pretty girlfriends get ready and then just observing them. Like they put on makeup, let me observe you, let me see what you're doing. And then, oh, your eye's changing. Oh, okay, cool, awesome. I learned something new by just observing something that I didn't know anything about. Understanding leads to stylization. Started stuttering for real. So, anything else, guys? I think that would make a really solid eye tutorial. What do you guys think? So, aging. Ooh, aging of eyes. Okay, good call, good call. So, aging in general is going to lead to your eyebrows or your eyelids being tired. So when you're young, you have a lot of energy, right? You have a ton of energy. So you're like all perky and you don't have any wrinkles or anything. You're like, yeah, just crack that out of your mind and you want to do everything in life. As you start getting older, your eyebrows start getting a little bit heavier. Your eyelids start becoming a little heavier. And things start sagging in the form of your muscles and your cartilage. So your nose, instead of being nice and perky like it used to, now might start sagging a little bit. You might start seeing a little bit of more of the indicators of your skull because your skin is now going to be hugging a little bit more of your body. Your cheeks tend to sag a little bit more. So you might use that triangle to make that drawing a little bit lower. Your chin and stuff like that tend to get a little bit farther away from you. Again, things like cartilage tends to melt. And it just feels like your body just literally starts melting away. Little by little, you start seeing a little bit more indicators of your actual anatomy. And it's not like we deteriorate evenly either. So some parts of our body become a little bit more deteriorated than others. Wrinkles happen because your eyes are now hugging the skin of your eye socket. You start getting sunken in eyes because your eyes start going into your eyeball socket. So at first, you have your eyes right here. Right? At the edge of your eye socket. So a lot of sun hits them. Ta-da! As you get older, they seem to recede a little bit into your eye socket. So the light doesn't hit them anymore. Not as much. So outside of the eye socket, you get a lot of light. Inside the eye socket, you don't get that much light. Right? So as you get older, your eye sockets recede, or your eyes recede into your eye sockets, creating that and creating wrinkles, creating lines, creating indicators of bone structure. You know, as opposed to when you're young, you don't have any of that. So aging in general comes with understanding how your body goes from really perky to tired. And how those wrinkles start popping up. Eyes go around, remember? Eyes go around. How do you go about overlapping character? I'm not talking about characters. We're talking about eyes today. Eyes. No, we cannot learn compositions for comics because we are talking about eyeballs. And I asked you guys to stay on topic. Why do you draw eyes with eye sockets? Well, because I want to know exactly where my eye is going to fall. Right? I don't have to draw the whole detail. Like when I'm drawing these, if I'm drawing a character, at this point in my life, I don't have to think of the triangles and I don't have to think of that. I see them. They're already mapped out in there, right? So when you get better at this, you're not going to have to follow the triangle guidelines and stuff like that. You're not going to have to do this stuff. You'll be able to map out your things just by simply knowing where they go. These are exercises to help you understand where things go and maybe help you position them a little bit better, right? They're not meant to guide you to make like a style or something. They're just meant to help you understand. It's meant to help you comprehend where things can go, how you can manipulate them so that you can choose whatever styling you want. You don't have to choose any styling that I'm doing. You can do these things proportioned to whatever sizes you want so that you can do your things that you like. You don't even have to make humans. Anything with a skull. Anything with a skull is now open game for you. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm blocking people. So as you can see, this concept of learning how to draw the eye sockets can lead you down the path of understanding how to draw multiple different things, not just if you want to draw things like goblins and stuff like that. You can do that now. Giving it fangs, you can make things that aren't necessarily human with that same technique. And the eyes overlapping, again, like we talked about, eyelids and the indicators for our eyebrows. So it's going to be really dependent on what you just want to create and what you can create based on your current knowledge. So going from human to animals to even like shit, you can even do like little chibi characters like this, right? We just talked about little chibi bodies too, how you can like learn to draw them better. Ta-da! So if you guys want to see that video, it should be up on YouTube. Yeah, that video is on YouTube, and it's really good. It's like 3 hours long, though, so be prepared if you guys are going to sit down and actually watch it. Ta-da! So, with that being said, do we have any other thing about eyes that you guys want to know? I guess one thing about eyes is knowing how the highlights work. So when you're drawing highlights for your eyes, just remember that the highlight is just a reflection of whatever light source is in the scene. In this case, it's a sun. So that is what the highlight is. Okay? It's just a reflection of whatever the light source is. If the light source is a block, like an LED light, guess what? That becomes a block. How do you give characters different eyes in a way that the characters feel cohesive? Well, let's draw a couple characters in different shapes. Okay? So if I wanted to give these guys a very similar look, but I wanted to keep them differently, all I have to learn is how those intersecting lines that I draw are going to stay consistent through all of them. If you give them like a certain style, let's give them like a little cat eye. Do the same thing on all of them. Regardless of what they're doing, give them that little cat eye. The eyes are going to be the biggest indicator of style, so once you find that, everything else that you draw whatever styling you choose for these, just replicate it and then you're going to be fine. Can you explain the pupil iris peer to... Okay, so let me explain how that works. From the front view, you have circles. As something starts going into perspective, that circle starts getting thinner. thinner and thinner and thinner until you start seeing just pretty much a sliver, okay? As you go around, any shape really starts getting like that. You got to think of if you think about your eye, imagine this, and you're drawing a cylinder for that colored part, okay? Imagine that that is how your eye works. So when you see it from the front, what is a cylinder from the front? It's just a circle, right? From the very top, a cylinder is just a circle. From the profile, a cylinder is more like this. And if it's a perfect cylinder, like from the side, this is essentially what you're drawing. Okay? That circle at the top is going to be the peak of your eye. So if you draw it as a 3/4, or as a front, and that is how you can learn how that body part works. So that way you know how that goes from being round to being flat towards the edge. Cool. Any other questions? We just talked about highlights too. So highlights are just a matter of understanding where your light source is and what shape the light source is, and then drawing your eye according to that. They don't always fall inside of the colored part of the eye. Your eye is glossy, and your eye can have a highlight outside of this section. Right? How do you draw a nose? No, we're not talking about noses. A squashed eye? I don't know what you mean by squashed eye. I don't think you would draw an eyeball squashed, but if you wanted squished like eyelids, like the shape, if you wanted it squashed, you could just do that. I mean, you could technically do this to squash the eyeball. But why? We already talked about eyelashes. Tears. So once you have your intersecting sections, there is a thing called a tear duct. So at the front of your eye, that overlapping line already gives you your tear duct. Tick. Tick. Overlapping line, tear duct. Anything else? Pro artist? Yeah, I'm a pro artist. I've been doing this for 40 years or 20 years. So yes, pro artist indeed. Eye expressions come from your eyebrows and your eyelids. So your expressions are going to come from your eyes interacting with your eyelids and your eyebrows. That is, you can have an infinite amount of combinations for these things and be able to come up with awesome, expressive things. Really? I'm jiggling. Oh, what's touching? Hold on. Normally that means that a cable is touching the desk. What is touching the desk? Ooh, it's the tripod. Okay, cool. All right. No, it shouldn't jiggle. Why is it jiggling? What is touching? Oh, it's the cable. There you go. No. Huh. Interesting. Why are you unstable today? Let's see. Hold on. Anyways. Can you do animal eyes? Wink or closed eye. Well, we already did a lot of those things, guys, so we're not going to go over the slings again. If you guys want to see the video, it'll be on YouTube later. We're not going over noses. Going over eyes. Can you show how to draw an eye from above the subject looking down? Yeah. Okay. So your heads in general, when you want to look down, you need to learn how to move your character's face down in order to find the right angle to draw your elements. When you find that, it's a matter of connecting, again, two dots from the front and the back and just drawing them in space. The farther down you look, the lines are going to curve a little bit more. You're going to cover a little bit more of your eye with your eyelids or with your eyelashes. And eventually you would only see them looking down like this. Eventually you would only see lines like this. The more down you go, the more likely it is that you only see a handful, like a line, because the opening of your eyes, because you're looking down, right? That's what you said. You're looking down. I mean, you could have the character open eyes and looking down as well. But I have a feeling that this is what you were looking for. Can you ask, why am I such a good teacher? Because I like what I do. Because it's something that I want to do. I want to be a teacher. So there's a big difference between somebody trying to teach you for money and somebody trying to teach you because they want to teach you. Right? So if somebody actually wants to teach and if they see a passion in it, they're going to give you a much better range of knowledge, because I'm not looking to milk you guys for money. I'm not looking to milk you guys for another course. I'm not looking to milk you guys for another class. I'm not looking to milk you guys for a 3-session thing or to come back to my video. Like, I don't know. I'd rather you guys get the knowledge, get the fuck out, go enjoy your lives, create, and then come back for more knowledge when you guys need it. That is essentially how I like to approach things. And that leads to better education, because I'm not pigeonholing you guys, or I'm not letting you guys think that I'm not leaving you with any questions, right? I'm not leaving you guys with any unanswered questions if I can avoid it. Teeth line, mouth goes around my teeth, Cool. Chin. Could you do Pixar style eyes? Yeah, Pixar style eyes, they're not any different. It's just those 5 circles, they're just bigger. What was it? 1, 2, 3 circles. The 3 circles of detail. What would you say to 20-year-old you? It's worth it. That's all I would say. Like, keep the fuck at it, man. It's fucking worth it. You're gonna have an awesome, weird life, but you're going to meet amazing people through your art. You're gonna date some beautiful women because of your art, and it's going to be just absolutely everything you wanted, really. Like, you never expect what you're gonna have in your life, Rod. Like, do not even know and fathom how many people will be looking at your work at some point. That's what I would tell. Do I pull? I don't see it like that. And that's the reason that I'm able to actually talk to women like that, man. It's because I don't see it as a game. I don't see it as pulling people. I don't see it as a challenge. To me, it's I meet someone I think is beautiful, nice, kind, and I just talk to them like a normal human. Because if I want to be with a human being, I can't see them as an idol. I can't see you as somebody that I can't talk to and I have to change my personality to be around you. If I do that, then it's not me. And then if you do fall in love with me, you're not falling in love with me. You're falling in love with a fake version of me that I put up to make you feel like you could talk to me, I guess. So I don't do that. I'm just myself, and people tend to pick up on that. Is there an exercise for practicing and trying different styles? Yeah. Okay. So I want you, this is your exercise and homework, okay? This is your homework for you guys. Homework. Okay? Your homework is to study a couple things. I want you guys to look at your favorite cartoons. I want you guys to go online and, like, if you guys can, save screenshots of them. There's always editing apps on your phone, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to take that cool eye that you like, you know, however they stylize it. Let's do a really, like, detailed one, so you guys get the idea of what I'm supposed to. I want you guys to do. So let's say that we have a super mega detailed eye that has all the things you love about it. You're gonna zoom in on it on your phone, and then you're gonna go into the edit app, and you're going to use the little editing pencil. Okay? With your finger, you're going to try to figure out what that top shape is that they used, and you're going to figure out how that little intersecting line on the bottom is shaped. It's normally going to be broken down into two parts: the eyelid and the intersecting bottom lid. That's your homework. And I want you guys to practice doing those same shapes and practicing how your favorite artist draws eyes. And you guys will notice that it's always going to be two curves. The curves just happen to have a lot of detail within them. And sometimes they won't even be curves, they'll be boxes. Right? But that is still the same general concept: a thick upper line followed by an intersecting bottom line, and then whatever styling they choose for it. So that is your homework for this week. Okay? I want you guys to go analyze your favorite art, and I want you guys to do that. If you guys want some drawing exercises outside of that, I would suggest that you guys do the 5 circles and overlap practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, overlap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, overlap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, overlap. And practice doing these thin, practice doing these wide, practice doing these in a bunch of different positions so that you guys can get used to drawing 5 circles and an overlapping line to draw your eyes. Okay, so 5 circles and an overlap is your hand coordination exercise. That little circle that you draw for your oval is going to dictate how open your eye is. So when you're drawing these, play around with that last one so that you can get different eye positions. And that is going to teach you to draw through your shape to be able to figure out how much of your actual eyeball is, the little colored part shows. You can also make them smaller. You don't have to cover the whole eye. You can start making them smaller once you get the hang of it. And that's going to give you a completely different style and look to your designs. This is more like a Pixar thing, cartoony, and these would be more like pin-up-y ones. Okay, so in overall recap, let's go back through the page so you guys, I'll take screenshots of this. I'll take pictures of this and post it on my Instagram for you guys. So you guys have access to this as a visual guideline too, because I actually really like the way this came out. So eyeball is inside of our eye sockets, and it's a big fat sphere that's inside of our face, and it kind of sits inside of it like this. The eye can be broken down into 2 different sections, one for the detail, which consists of the things inside, which is 5 circles and an overlapping line. To find dimensions or 3-dimensional shape to it, you use that same concept, but you apply it with a circle inside as a guideline to give you a nice little guideline to be able to rotate this any direction you want. Then from there, playing around with the concept of the thick upper line and a nice little thin curvy line allows you the ability to be creative with what goes inside. Understanding how to rotate your eye up and down is just a matter of taking the two endpoints and just moving them and rotating them around. After you do that, you're going to be able to change the shape of it, not necessarily curvy, but you are going to be able to do any shape, color, shape, size you guys want. Animals, when we went to eyelids. Eyelids are just hemispheres for the eye. Right? They're just beep, 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 hemispheres. Whatever ones you choose, that is what your eye is going to be doing. If you want a nose open eye, you open it up all the way. If you want a half open eye, then you do it halfway. If you want profiles, just take that and split it in half, and now you have your profile eye. If you wanted animals, those are going to require reference because these don't work the same way. Animal eyes, especially like reptiles and stuff like that, and birds, don't have the same concept that these do. So it's not, you can still draw them. You can still draw birds and stuff like that with them. You know, nothing's going to stop you from drawing animals with slightly more humanistic eyes. That's going to be dope. You know, you're going to really enjoy doing that because it's going to look like Disney characters. So don't think of it as like a drawback, but if you guys do want to get like more realistic animal eyes, you need to go and do a lot of reference because a lot of animals have very different eyeballs. So just keep that in mind. Referencing animals helps, but you don't need to do it. You can always give them little cute human eyes and they look cute. I talked to you guys a little bit of the positioning of where the eyes are supposed to go within the skull and also a little nice mapping system to help you guys with your faces. I taught you guys how you can visualize that from front, 3/4, and the side view and give you guys nice, simple concepts that you guys can use to attach that. I showed you guys how to draw the eyelids, the eyebrows. No, not the eyebrows, the eyelashes. Eyelashes, and we didn't talk about the eyebrows, but we did talk about how you can actually manipulate that concept based on this theory to be able to play around with it and be able to figure out different facial expressions. I know it's a lot of information too. We talked a little bit about aging and how we can add age to our eyes and our characters. We talked about highlights and how the highlight is affected by the light source, and the light source is what the shape of the highlight is supposed to be, as well as the direction of where the highlight's supposed to be, so that you guys don't always draw the highlights in the same freaking place. Like, that drives me insane when I see a character that has like a light source in the middle, right? And they have like really big eyes, and they draw the highlight in the same place for both of them. That doesn't work like that. The light source is here. You got to learn to put the light source in the right place. It has to actually make sense with your scene. You can't just draw a highlight and make it look pretty. Well, I guess you can, but it's just not going to be accurate. And you have to be okay with that. So when you have an eye from the top, guess the highlight is going to be right here because it's just a reflection of the light. Okay, so other than that, I showed you guys examples of how to draw consistent characters with different shapes with the same type of eyes, and then how to see the actual part inside of the eye to be able to know how it goes from round to more flat as you rotate your eyeball. Beep, 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 beep. So I think I covered most of everything. I think there is literally nothing else that can be explained within the eyeball. So I hope that you guys learned something. I hope you guys understood, and I hope that you guys improved your drawing skills with what we did today. I want to let you guys be like starting the year with a lot more awesome mindsets and have like a lot of awesome things that you guys can take from so you guys can get your artwork to a next level. Okay, this year was amazing for me. This year was very productive. This year is the first year I can probably say that I have paid my bills without having to do freelance work. And that is amazing and so fucking awesome. So I haven't taken a client work in a while, and I haven't finished some client work that I started taking a while ago. So procrastinating on that too. But anyways, I'm proud of myself. I hope you guys are proud of yourselves too. I hope you guys have grown and, matured into better artists by following me. If you guys did, and if you guys learned anything, my only condition for teaching you guys all this stuff is to have you guys share one of my pieces of knowledge that I have shared with all of you with someone else. Share a reel, share a lesson, share a YouTube video. I have a YouTube channel with like hundreds of videos, hundreds. I've been doing this for 7 years and only been popular on here for 1. So I've been doing this for 7 years, but I've never had the popularity that I have here. So all the resources that I've released cover everything from digital art to how to live as an artist, conventions, commissions, dealing with clients, doing all sorts of artwork that you require, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, industry knowledge, how to actually make money, side hustles you can do. I have so much information that you guys would probably spend like a whole month just looking at it. And all of it is valuable. So you guys have a lovely start to your New Year's. Milky, come say Happy New Year's to people. Hi there, Officer Milky here. I'm not here often because my throat does not allow me to talk like this much. But let's tackle this next year awesomely. Did I just give myself another eyebrow? No, I didn't. It's a scar. Yeah, Mr. Milky, let's go. All right, Officer Milky, get the fuck out of here. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. Have a lovely New Year's Eve. If you guys are doing anything crazy, be safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another lesson. Take care. Love you all. Have a good one and happy 2024. Take care.